So what do I have here? It's a longer laser. Longer than what? No. Longer is a brand. It's a longer laser. That's the brand. I'm going to take it out of the box. I'm going to put it together and set it up. Coming up. I'm Roger, welcome to the shop. What I have here is a longer laser, and longer being the brand name. And for disclosure right up front here, this was provided to me by Longer to test, display, and review. However, they are not paying me to do it. They did provide me the laser. So therefore, any opinions I have of it will be mine, and they will be honest, because they're not paying me to say this is the best thing since perforated toilet paper. Well, could you imagine if it wasn't? Okay, so getting back to the laser, gonna unbox this thing and put it together. We're gonna do a setup. This video is only going to be the assembly, and it will be a very detailed assembly. So if you're very good at putting things together, you may want to skip way ahead or wait till I do the testing video. This is geared towards those people that either are just curious about how it goes together or are a little bit mechanically challenged and not real good with tools in assembly. So that's why I do these detailed ones. So let me get this unboxed. We'll see what we got. Okay, right off here we got foam. We have a quick start guide. Not sure exactly how this is folded. Yeah, we'll get to that. So let's see what we got in the box here. Here's the laser head, and this is a fixed focus laser. And this would be the motherboard and controller, and it has cabling attached to it, and here is a bag of goodies that we'll get into. Looks like we have some hardware and some samples in there. And of course the cheesy glasses they always give you. These are dark green. I've seen them in all kinds of different colors. The right color for a blue laser is orange, and not just orange shooting glasses, but actual glasses made for a laser. Protect your eyes. These are better than nothing, but you really should have the proper color glasses. We'll set this off to the side here. This would appear to be the X-axis gantry. We have a power cord, a power supply. I'm betting these are the feet. Would be 3 of these. The 4th foot will probably be the controller and the motherboard, and the Y-axis extrusions and the end frames. I believe that's all that's in this box. Yep, so this shouldn't be too tough to put together. Get this unwrapped, get rid of some cardboard, and get to putting this together. Okay, we'll take a look here at what's in the parts bag. They have a USB cable. Needing that. These parts are labeled according to what they are for. They are also labeled by steps. You know, most of them are labeled by steps. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory. Okay, here we have a stamped steel wrench and 4 little alien wrenches. Those would be Allen wrenches. So there's the wrenches, the open-end wrench. This would be for adjusting the eccentric on the rollers, belt, and a micro SD card or micro SD card reader. This here will be your focusing guide for your height. We'll get into that later. This, I'm pretty sure, are mounting feet for screwing it down to a table. Haven't looked at the directions yet, but I put a lot of lasers together. So we'll get to laying some parts out here and putting this together. Okay, I've got the parts laid out here like they go. The extrusion that says longer, that is the front, so you'd want that facing up. The left side Y-axis rail has this on the end right here. So you want to make sure that is away from you and on the left side. Your right-hand side rail, you want the numbers up, and starting with 0 with both of these at the front. And the back rail, you see, has 2 holes in each end, and it goes at the back, obviously. So the first step is to put these little angle pieces in, right here. And they do give you a Allen wrench to do this. I prefer to use these little drivers here. So the size for these, if you're keeping track, is 2.5 M&Ms. That should fit in there. And it does. And these go in these corners like this and like this. Okay, I need to point a little something out here. These are not the same on both sides. See here. So there's a little gap right here. That will have to go towards your end extrusion. So this will pass, otherwise this will not slide in there. So it goes like this. Then there is a screw right here that you'll need a lock washer. And I'm kind of jumping ahead here a little bit just so I can illustrate how this goes together. So the first step is actually to put all the little corner pieces in first. That will go right there, like so. And I'm using this 4 M&Ms. I'm not going to tighten this up, I'm just going to run it in there a little bit till I get all 4 of these together. Do the same thing here. Sure, I got my right side up here. Okay, once you have all of them started, then you just need to get everything squared up and tighten everything down. I would tighten these down in stages. I wouldn't crank one side down all the way first. I would do it in the stages here so that you make sure that the extrusions get pulled to the front correctly. They're not binding. And there's the first step. Okay, the next step is to put the X-axis gantry on. That's this right here. Where it says longer here, that's the front. This is the front of that gantry. Stepper motor is on the back. There is a stepper motor will be on your left side and just an idler on the right hand side. This just slips in over the extrusions on the end. Just like that. We'll have to do some adjustment on that later, but that is the first step there. And next we'll be putting on the feet. Okay, and your step 3 package of hardware, and I like to keep all my hardware in one of these little magnetic trays so things don't roll off. I'm going to start out with the little isolation. What do they call? They call this something else here. An isolated cylinder. It's a little plastic spacer. This will go towards the front on the left side. Turn this up so you can see it here. You'll see there is a tapped hole right there. That's where that goes. That's going to be a stop so your X gantry can't come crashing back to the front. You don't need to really crank it down either, just make it tight, just snug. Okay, now we move on to the feet. 3 of those. This here will be, this controller is actually the foot for this side. You'll notice that one of these screws in your kit is short. That will go in this corner right here and into the end of this frame. It's tapped. And if you're using these drivers, it's a 3 M&M if you're keeping score. Now before you go cranking that down and tightening it up, you want to get the screw started on the other side. That's one of these here. There is a hole tapped in the extrusion that this will thread into. And everything lines up perfect. You snug those down. Okay, now the feet look like this. There are holes tapped into the extrusion on all 4 corners. So this will set like this. In fact, I'll turn this up on end so you can get a close look there. See, there's the 2 tapped holes. And there are lock washers. I put them on ahead of time here. There's a lock washer on each one of these. And get yourself all squared up there good. Then do exactly the same thing on the back side with these feet. There'll be 2 of them to put on the back. Okay, now we're going to move on to the timing belts, and this is where a lot of people get confused. And not just with this particular laser. I mean, this is a timing belt right here. See, one side has teeth on it, and one side is smooth. The toothed side goes down, and there are little rollers on your gantry here, right here in the corner. And this belt has to go under this wheel, over that, and under the next wheel. And it can be a little fiddly sometimes. And a lot of times it helps to get something to poke that end up as it comes through. And you want to run it and just lay it over there. Don't do anything else with it till you get your other side on. You want to have them both in place. This is really hard to show on camera, but like I said, it's a little fiddly to do. Okay, next. And there is a video you can watch. It's on the SD card I see here on your assembly instructions. I've done a lot of these, so I know how this works. There's a little slot in the end of the extrusion here on the foot. Pass your belt out through that on each end. Okay, you'll have what they call a hammerhead nut. That's one of these guys. That will go in the slot here, like so. Then there's a screw that goes into that. And as you see, the hammerhead nut turned just like it should. And what size is that one there? That's 3 M&Ms. You want to pull that out to the end. And you got to make sure that that hammerhead nut turned horizontal. Otherwise, this isn't going to grip. So you do that on both front corners here. Okay, once you get your front corners done, I'm going to turn this around so we get a better view of it here. This is the back. I'm setting my tension from the back side. And I'm going to move this down the line here a ways. Belt out through that slot. Strap your little hammerhead nut in place. Make certain that it turns horizontal like this. Make sure you got the right driver. Okay, once that is started, to set your tension, you would pull on this belt. Now, how tight is tight? You don't want it so tight that it's hard to roll, but you don't want it flopping around either. And it's kind of hard to explain. You want probably 1/4 of an inch of give at the pulley end up there. And you would tighten that screw down and that'll hold that there. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now something I'm going to show you here that I do not see in their directions is setting the eccentric nuts. Okay, I have this turned upside down so you can get a good view of this. On the wheel on the bottom, on both sides of the x-axis gantry and on the x-axis carriage here, there is a little nut behind this wheel. That nut is eccentric, that is, it is not perfectly round. What you want to do is turn that so that there's no wobble. You don't want any wobble there. For example, here on this one here, we need to take all this wobble out of there. And to do that, I would just tighten that nut up. You don't want it so tight that it binds, but you want to see now well, still got a little more to go there. You see it still moves freely, but now there's no wobble. And you want to do the same thing on the other side over here. What you don't want to do is be able to just spin that free with your finger. You want to make sure it moves freely. It should move on its own weight without just slamming to the other end, just like that. Okay, next I'll be mounting the laser head itself. Right here, you have two of these knobs. There's holes right here in the front of this. This passes through this slot. Of course, we want the shield down, the circuit board up. And we just snug them up in there. I'm not doing any set height, I'm just setting it. So the next part's going to be a little bit fiddly. Okay, you'll notice that there are two little tiny screws and two little nylon bushings. I'm going to turn this around, or try to turn it on end so you can see this. In fact, I'm going to have to let the laser head down a little bit so that you can see it. I'm hoping you can see this, but there are two holes tapped in the back of that plate. So you need to put one of these little teeny nylon spacers on that screw. This is 2 M&Ms if you're keeping track here, because this is going to be a little bit fiddly to do. And that needs to go down in there and thread in. That one wasn't too bad. Got us a pretty good dexterity here though to hold on to these little tiny pieces where that happens. Make sure everything moves freely there. Okay, the next step here is wiring, and this was really simple on this one. You'll see here you got your nicely braided. You see there is a connector there that'll go on the stepper motor. You'll see that it is keyed. It will only go in one way. Don't force it. If you bend those pins, you're going to have a dickens of a time getting them straightened out to ever plug anything else in there. And this is keyed. So the slots here, the slots you see right here, will go into the open side of that stepper motor. It plugs right in like that. Now while I have this upside down so you can see things good, you'll have the same thing over here, marked the same way, same type of key, that plugs into this stepper motor here. Now I'll turn this back around. Okay, right here, this is also keyed the same way. And you'll see there are slots that will accept the slots on here. Again, don't force this. So there you are, and the wiring is complete. Okay, there are some little L brackets here that you could put on the corners. I have this sitting on a piece of plywood now. I'm probably going to 3D print something instead of using these brackets. But these are supplied with screws. These brackets screw to the side of this. And then there are some little flathead wood screws, sheet metal screws in there. You can screw it down to your board. And there's 3 of them in here, so you can do 3 corners. That would hold it still. Okay, I have this turned around backwards so you're going to be able to see this clearer. This is for focusing. So I took one of the, well, I need to find one that's flat. That one's warped. Yeah, that's better. So this cylinder they give you is 30 millimeters long in case you lose it. And on the back of the laser head is a little recess behind the shield. So you loosen your knobs up, you slide the laser down. So hopefully you can see this here. Find something to point with here. There's a little recess in that plate. The little cylinder goes into that recess. You lower your laser head to that point. Then you tighten your knobs back down. That's how you set your focus. Okay, take this back out, turn it around. Okay, before I even hook a computer up to this, I put the micro SD card in the slot up here. And we'll turn this on. I've got my focus set. and it makes a beep. This is a touch screen, and it does have offline control. So what we'll start first is control here. Move the Y 10 millimeters each direction. That works. The X. Okay, so we'll go back, and there are some files on the little micro SD card. And I'm reading what they are. Birds. So we'll do some birds. Okay, frame that. It'll be off my board. That's why you should always frame things first. Go back. Frame that again. Okay, we're on it. The check mark. It'll start engraving. Okay, there we are. I like this little touch screen. Take this out, see what we got. Got some little birds. Yeah, I need to get me a laptop over here now. We'll get this connected. I'll show you how to get it configured in LaserGRBL and in Lightburn. Okay, so we'll start LaserGRBL here. Some people call it LaserGRBL. It's LaserGRBL. Download that, install it. It's free, there's no charge for it. So when it comes up, you'll see this. You'll need to have your USB cable plugged in, and you'll need to have the laser on. And it'll come up as COM5, and there'll be a little icon right there. It says connect. Just click on that. And we are connected. And from there you can set up a project and etc. We'll get into that in another video. This is just a basic setup right here now to show you how to get connected. So next we'll do Lightburn. Okay, there's a little bit more fiddling around you're going to have to do in Lightburn here, but it's worth the effort. I use Lightburn exclusively on all of our projects. I am familiar with LaserGRBL, I just don't use it. I prefer Lightburn. It has a lot more features to it. It has a 30-day free trial. And it's going to look for a laser that's not there right now because I have a lot of lasers. So, what I need to do first here, because I have so many, is where it says devices, need to just click on choose for the COM port. Then I click on the devices. It'll bring this up and it'll say find my laser. I'll click on that. Then click next, and it didn't find it. I wonder why that is. Well, I guess I'm going to have to create this one manually. So to create manually, you click on where it says create manually. And this is a GRBL laser. Click on next. And a serial USB. This is how we connect to it. And we can name it. We'll call this the longer. And I need to do a little conversion here from inches to metric. Okay, it's 410 millimeters. That's 16.14 inches, because I happen to have this computer set up for inches. Next, and it homes on the, well, it doesn't, we do not want auto home because this does not have limits, so there's no homing function. And actually I'm going to edit this, put the actual name of the laser on here. Actually the longer Ray 5, that's the model of this. Okay, we're finished there. Now we'll go over here to lasers. I'll drop this down. There's the longer Ray 5. We are connected. So what I need to do next is go up here to Tools, Oops, go up. Need to do next, go up here to edit. Settings. Okay, that inches and millimeters per minute, which is best for diode lasers. You want to make sure that's connected. And that defaulted here because I have so many other diode lasers. Now we need to go back up here to edit. Device settings. Right up here it says enable laser fire button. You need to turn that on. So you'll have a test button for firing the laser. Click OK. Now when you make that change, any change there, you're going to have to close Lightburn and reopen it. And I'll have to go back over here. Longer array 5. Okay, in the console over here you see it's connected. So then under move, 1 inch and fire button, I'm going to do that at 1%. That works. I'll get you over here so you can see what I'm doing on the laser. Okay, here's the laser. We'll go here, we'll take that fire button and sure we get a little test dot I can look at power 1%. And there it is. Turn that back off. Sure things move here. And I'm thinking we can probably set an origin here. Let me do that. Let's set this particular point as an origin. Now I'll move this. And we'll see if it comes back to that point. Go to origin. Takes it right back to it. Excellent. Now let me get a little project loaded up here and we'll engrave something. Okay, I've got a little palm tree graphic in here, making it pretty small, so it's going to take about 4 minutes to engrave. It's a line engraving. So what I'll do first here is frame this. Make sure it's going to stay on the little board there, and it is. And I am doing this at 2,000 millimeters per minute at 60% power. Start this and let her go. Okay, see what we got here. It turned out very well. Very fine detail on it too. I'm sure the camera's not going to show that, but there is some really fine detail on this. Quite pleased with that. So there's the assembly and the initial setup and a little bit of a demonstration on this longer Ray 5 laser. So what do I think of it so far? Well, it was simple to put together. I do like the touch screen. I have one other laser. It's an Atom Stack A9 portable laser. It's much smaller than this, a little 210, I think, millimeter work area. This is 410 millimeters, much bigger. It has a touch screen and it has the micro SD card slot and lets you do offline files. This will do the same. I can create my project here in Lightburn, put it on a micro SD card, save the G code to a micro SD card, put that micro SD card in, and I'll be able to run this without having to have the computer connected to it. As I mentioned, I have quite a few lasers. Most of them I should say all of them with the exception of that A9 atom stack, you have to have a computer hooked up to it to use it. And for each one of those, if I'm running several lasers at once, and this happens when we get a big order for some of the engraved tiles we do, that means I need to have a Lightburn license for every one of those computers. So, okay, what does Lightburn cost? It's $60. That gives you 2 licenses. If you ask them nice, they'll give you a third one for nothing. After that, each additional license is $10. I have 6 licenses right now. So I won't need another license for this. I can, if I don't have a laptop available for it, I can just put my stuff on a card and put it in there and let it go. I think that's great. Okay, so what am I going to do to this now? Because if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I always got to tinker with this stuff and do something to it, whether it be a drag chain, cable management here. So far I haven't had cables get down into anything. I think drag chains would be nice. I don't know that I'm going to do air assist on this because I'll probably relegate this to doing tile engraving. I don't really need air assist for that. I have some other lasers that I have dedicated to doing engraving on wood signs. I do have air assist on those because it reduces the scorching on it. I don't do much cutting. I have one laser right now that's kind of dedicated to just doing cutting, and of course I have air assist on that because that's kind of important when you're doing a lot of cutting, especially to get rid of the scorching. Reduces that, gives you a better cut, and you're able to cut deeper when you have that air assist to blow down through the kerf as it cuts. So I will be making some feet for this on a 3D printer. They do give you feet with it for mounting here, and then you can screw down, but I want to make something where I can just lift this off but yet put it back into the same place. And I will make a grid for this. I like working off a grid, and I have some particular layout things I will put into my grid for some of the projects we do. But that's all going to come up in the future, and probably one of the next future videos we'll do some burn tests, we'll do some cut tests, and I'll show you what this can do and what it can't do, what it excels at, and what it might not be so good at. So far, so good. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up, always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the shop, Longer Ray 5 Laser. Thanks for watching, we'll see you on the next one.